Barefoot shoes can be brilliant for strengthening your feet and for giving your toes more space, but most beginners make one big mistake. They go too minimal too quickly. So in this video I'm going to show you 3 beginner-friendly options, from the safest transition shoe to the most barefoot-like option. The first one barely feels like a barefoot shoe, the second one gives you the shape without going too extreme, and the third is the one I'd only choose if you're ready for a proper barefoot feel. So first up we have the Altra Escalante IV. Now there's 4 key things that we look for in a barefoot shoe. We look for a zero drop, an anatomical toe box, a flexibility and minimal cushioning. Well, with the Altra we've got 2 of these key figures, and that's why it's a really good introductory shoe. One, we have the wide toe box, so an anatomical shaped toe box, which means that you got lots of space for your toes to display, and then you've got a really nice lockdown on the midfoot and on the heel. Nice flexibility through the heel counter, so no rigidity there, and a really breathable upper. Now the cushioning is much thicker than what you'll get in a barefoot shoe, although it's relatively minimalist compared to what we see with most running shoes and walking shoes on the market at the moment. And that's why it's such a good transition shoe. So it's a really balanced cushioning, you sink into it a little bit, gives you lots of protection underneath your foot depending on what surface you're walking on, and it still has a gentle rocker, which is the curve at the front of the shoe that we don't see in barefoot shoes. That facilitates a nice push through motion when you're walking or when you're running. So this shoe works really well as it's a zero drop with no difference in height from the back to the front, but still gives you that cushioning. With the wide toe box you can use it for walking, standing, or as a light running shoe. It's important to transition down slowly if you're used to using a higher drop shoe, which is the difference in height from the back to the front, as it can just place extra pressure on your calf and your Achilles. But otherwise, an excellent transition option. Then we have more of a barefoot-like shoe, and that's the LEMS Primal IV. Now this is more of a casual and everyday use shoe. The cushioning is very different. It's more of a rubberized cushioning than the classic EVA cushioning that we see in the Altra, which means that it's firmer underfoot, there's less volume of cushioning underneath your foot, and therefore it doesn't give you as much protection. It's still really comfortable once you get used to it, and it gives you adequate protection if you are walking on sharper rocks. Now it is much more flexible than what we get in the Altra, so you can bend it right up. It's got the anatomical toe box, so it's a wider toe box than what we see in the Altra, giving you plenty of space, but it has more of a plush upper on top, so it feels a bit more structured overall, really comfortable, and it has a little bit more rigidity at the back of the heel for those of you who need a little bit more support. Now this is a shoe that can be used for gym use because it's zero drop, so it can be used for weightlifting, or it can be used for everyday walks and casual use. Now it's not an option that we'd recommend for running, however LEMS do have a huge lineup of running shoes, hiking shoes. If you want to check out their website, we'll put in a link in the description below. It's a really nice eco-friendly brand. And then if you want to transition into a fully minimalist shoe, well then we really recommend the Vivobarefoot Primus Lite IV. Now when I tested out a huge range of barefoot shoes, I was a little bit apprehensive about how they feel, because every week I'm testing different max cushion shoes and different walking shoes. However, I actually transitioned really nicely into these, and there's a word of caution with this. I will talk about how to transition, but first of all, what you get in this is a very classic barefoot shoe. You've got the 4 characteristics ticked off. You've got the wide toe box, you've got complete flexibility, zero drop from back to front, and minimalist cushioning underneath your feet. So this is really as barefoot as it gets. Now you can see the toe box is really wide, and then you've actually got quite a good fit on the midfoot and the heel. And that's really important because I found in some of the barefoot shoes it was a little bit sloppy on top of the shoe. You just really struggled to get a good lockdown on your foot. For my foot shape, this worked really well. You can see it's very minimalist in the material and cushioning on top, but underneath the shoe you still have plenty of good grip for wet surfaces. I didn't have any slippage options, and you have a minimalist amount of cushioning underneath your foot. Now this also increases the amount of demand placed on your calf and your Achilles, similar to these other 2 zero drop shoes, but because there's even less cushioning underneath your foot, increases the amount of vibration and impact and force that your bones and your feet have to absorb. So transitioning very slowly is really important, typically over a 12 to 16 week period, and we've got a video on how to do this which I'll link above. Otherwise, this is a really great option for walking, for gym use, for everyday life, not necessarily a running shoe, more of a casual day-to-day shoe. However, if you have any thoughts on any of these 3 shoes, let me know in the comment section below. Have you tried them, or are there any other shoes you'd recommend for beginners? Like always, there's links to the shoes in the description if you want to check them out. And if you're new to the channel or you watch regularly but you haven't subscribed, please consider it, as the one thing you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to the channel.